Alright, so what's Plato talking about? He talks about the forms, the dialectic. Well, according to Plato in the Republic, Socrates, Plato's puppet of sorts, okay? He talks about two realms, the visible and the invisible. The visible realm are sensible things. What you can see, what you can touch, the senses. Now, the chaos of reality, insofar as it is in constant flux and change, Plato admits the sensible realm is unknowable. It cannot be understood alone. The chaos of sensation alone is just constant change. Constant change cannot be understood, according to Plato Socrates. Now, in order to understand the forms, one must understand the dialectic. Now, if you have just monotone sensation, which in a certain sense, the chaos of sensation constantly changing is a sort of monotony of sorts. It's a monotony of change. Change, always, nothing but change. This chaotic sensory realm, which is the visible realm, cannot be understood unless opposing sensations are distinguished from one another. So, for example, Socrates talks about a heavy light object or a soft hard object. Now, if I tell you these things, like imagine a heavy light object or a soft hard object, you most likely won't be able to do it. You won't be able to understand those kinds of objects because what I've done there, what Plato's done, is he's talking about opposite sensations united under one sensation. Now, the chaos of the sensible realm is in reality constantly full of that. There's heavy, light, soft, hard, bright, dark things happening all the time in this very picture. Now alone you can't parse this because alone the sensible realm mixes all of these things together. In order to understand this mixture, Plato claims you need to distinguish and separate opposites. So, instead of seeing a heavy light object, you see the heavy part and the light part. You see the soft part of the object and the hard part of the object. You don't see it as one object. To see it in one object would be the sensible reality, but it would not be articulable. So if I had a heavy light object in front of you and said, it's all one thing, it's this heavy light object, you wouldn't be able to distinguish it. But if I said, here's the heavy part of the object, here's the light part of the object, have oil and vinegar in front of you in a mixture, and I say, you ask me what's in front of me, and I say, it's one thing, it's just one thing. You'd be like, well, what are you talking about? I don't know, I don't get it. It looks like it's mixing things. It's not until I say, well, you got oil and you got vinegar there. These two opposing things that are mixed together. It's not until you separate the sensible things into opposite things, or separating them and distinguishing them, that you're able to then understand it. So, this is what Plato means by the invisible ability of dialectic oppositions, which a person is able to distinguish the sensible realm into differentiating, contrasting senses. So imagine having a white background and I move white objects in front of them. They would be invisible to you. It's not until contrast presents itself that objects can be distinguished from one another. So when Plato talks about the forms, he's not talking about a table having a perfect good in itself. Plato actually claims the good in itself is unknowable and inarticulable, but that all knowable things are good-like, are only good-like. Now, there's speculation as to what he means there, but the point is that he's not saying there's a perfect table out there, visible or invisible. He's not saying that. He's saying there's a generic form of various things, and these generic forms, names we have for particular things, help us divide the sensory into various objects such that we can then parse this chaotic sensory experience into differentiating parts. And that requires what he believes to be opposing forces and opposing sensations that are only parsable if you move out of the sensory realm alone and into this invisible ability we have as human beings to parse objects and split them and divide them and separate them, because we can't understand when opposites are mixed together. That's probably as good as I can do right now.